Alright, what is going on, guys? So it turns out I do actually have the time to do this review. So it is Friday morning, and chances are this will be uploaded on either Saturday or Sunday. So, do not expect this to be in date, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Anyway, let's just get it through. We're going to review Hell in a Cell first because chronology. So Roman Reigns versus Rusev was the opening card match. Well, let's be honest here. I missed the first half of the match. So I went back and rewatched it, and I could see what the complaints were as to it being boring and stuff like that, because it did start with, a little bit of going through the motion, but from when I finally caught up to the part I tuned in to watch, I was still, very much engaged for that second half of the match. I saw some great storytelling. It was on point, in my opinion, the second half anyway. Rusev especially, did a great job selling, not only physically, but like I said, in the story, and I've always been pretty high on Rusev. I just don't talk about him as much as I should. So I think this right here gives me a reason to talk about him, and I feel like after this performance that I saw from him, I think it's fair to say that, he does deserve a shot to go for that Universal title or the WWE World title, somewhere down the line. Anyway, the match was good. Roman Reigns won with the spear off of the steel step. I thought that was a good finish. I'm just hoping Rusev goes to the main event from here. Roman Reigns, stay in the mid card. He's doing good there. Bayley versus Dana Brooke. Okay. Not great. The match was okay. I've defended Dana Brooke, and I looked in this match for, some good stuff, and I think I saw like one or two highlights in there. None that I can remember right now. I haven't gone back to rewatch that match since, so it was okay. Dana got slightly more offense from from what she normally gets, so good on her. Again, nothing really stood out. Still, decent show, so I'll give it that. Endo and Cass versus the Club. So, there was 2 tag team matches. This was the weaker in my opinion. This had some good things and some things I hated. Endo and Cass, before the match, cut a promo. And they cut a promo that basically flashes back to the brilliance they had back in NXT. It's funny because some of their stuff they do now on the main roster, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel as edgy, Some of the things they say just come off as corny sometimes, but I can never count out a good promo from Enzo Amore. Especially when I think I'm getting sick of him. No, he finds a way to catch me back in the loop. So, again, great promo. I thought it was hilarious. The calling Doc Gallows or Luke Gallows a gal, and referring to Carl Anderson as Andy. Anyway, let's get to the match. So their match was a decent showing. The way Enzo and Carl sold in this match is crazy. Throughout the match, I see spots where they both look like they fell off a 20-feet building. Plus one to them for selling like they did. The thing I don't like about this match is that, well, in almost every club match anyway, Carl Anderson doesn't get as much offense as he should. And it was the same with this one. He didn't get much offense with either Enzo or Cass. He should be looking strong, in my opinion. Just because he's small, and I really feel like that's what it is, doesn't mean he should be taking a beating every damn match. So the club hits Enzo with the Magic Killer, and the club wins. I was very relieved to see the club win. Next, we had Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. One thing I want to note before I get into the match is Rollins didn't sell his back injury at all. And I don't understand why. If they're playing the narrative of Rollins is injured and he's moving around perfectly fine, it baffles me. It baffles me that they're doing this. Why even have the back injury if he's not going to sell it? Suspension of disbelief is key. So, getting into the match itself, this is where things go from decent to awesome. So, our match starts off slow, which is fine. They have plenty of big spots ahead of them. It's good to conserve energy. They had the spot of the night with the powerbomb to 2 tables from Rollins to Owens, I want to add. There was a few There was a few false finishes that actually fooled me, like the pop-up powerbomb after Rollins pedigree Jericho and the frog splash from Rollins, which I should have known, let's face it, wasn't going to finish Owens, or even the match for that matter. I found the moment where Owens accidentally sprays the ref with the fire extinguisher and then drops the damn extinguisher. It was absolutely priceless. He starts swearing, he cusses up a storm, and it was funny. Very back and forth actions, although Rollins took more of the damage of their fight, I'd say. These are the types of occasions that should have these types of matches not squandered on an episode of Raw. At least in moderation, it should be. Anyway, Owens powerbombs Rollins through 2 chairs to pick up the win. Perfect finish to a great match. Next on the card, we had Brian Kendrick versus TJ Perkins. The match was great, but the story was the real finish. It was the real story because I got worked, and I feel like my intelligence is dropping because of it. The match itself, good stuff. They didn't really do anything stand out from their Raw matches, so if you're going to watch Hell in a Cell, you're going to tune in for this match, don't expect anything, to surprise you. It was just a typical Raw style match in my opinion. So nothing out of the ordinary other than the finish, which I'm going to get into right now. Brian feigns an injury, going for the sliced bread number 2. And this went on for a couple of minutes, and he really made me, anyway, think that he was actually injured. And, of course, in kayfabe, he made TJ Perkins think he was injured. So, TJ Perkins goes to pick him up, tries to, see if he's okay, from a moral standpoint. And Brian Kendrick gives him the headbutt of a lifetime. Hits the captain's hook, TJ Perkins taps, and Brian Kendrick is our new Cruiserweight champ. How I did not see this coming, it's beyond me. Again, I feel like my intelligence is dropping. Good match. Well, I'll knock it down. I'll say decent match. And, yeah, nothing more to go into. New Day versus Cesaro and Sheamus. And I gotta say, I am loving Cesaro and Sheamus more and more as a tag team. I found this match to be very engaging. Sheamus and Big E had some great chemistry, as did Xavier and Cesaro. The big finish, the big dusty finish, it was disappointed. I'm not gonna lie with you, I am not big on dusty finishes. Okay, so let's just basically get it out the way. It was good up until Cesaro puts the sharpshooter on Xavier Woods. Sheamus attacks Big E from behind with the trombone. Ref doesn't see it. Sheamus and Kofi get into an exchange. Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise. And the ref caught the ref caught Kofi. And the New Day is DQ'd. Therefore, the titles do not change hands. But Cesaro and Sheamus do get the win. And it was great, but I hated the finish. This is 2 pay-per-views in a row that they do Sheamus and Cesaro dirty. I am very, very, very disappointed in this. Sasha versus Charlotte, the main event, and I have been waiting to get into this. So, this match was gold. This whole rivalry has been gold. I'm not going to lie with you. So, going into this, you see a perfect promo package to describe this rivalry. Now, before the match starts, actually, let's get into the entrances. Charlotte comes out like a queen. Sasha comes out, does the throwback NXT Brooklyn entrance. Great entrances. How often do we see these anymore? So, good to see those. Now, the match itself, let's get into it. Now, as I keep saying, this match was gold. So, as the cell gets lowered, you see the expression on their faces. They're nervous. They're ready. They're anticipating the match to start. But before the match starts, Charlotte bum rushes Sasha. She attacks her outside of the ring before the cell gets lowered. They're both fighting outside of the ring. Sasha counters and throws Charlotte into the barricade. I'm not sure what happened near the end where Charlotte ended up climbing the cell, and then Sasha decides to climb the cell as well. Right after that, Right after that, Sasha is on top of the cell. Charlotte gets knocked down. Charlotte is setting up for a powerbomb to Sasha, and believe me, the patience was worth it, because that powerbomb that Sasha took, oh my god, Sasha was powerbombed through that table. And when I mean through that table, you just gotta look at the match highlights itself and see that powerbomb. This is no exaggeration. That table exploded on impact. Alright. So, from there, Sasha tries to get back up from the powerbomb. The officials are looking at her constantly. She can't seem to get up. She getting the brace, the neck brace, right? She's getting propped up on that stretcher. Charlotte goes back into the ring, and you're seeing the ref. You're seeing this visual of the ref giving the belt to Sasha, or to Charlotte, I should say. And the announcer, she says, "And your new women's champion, Charlotte." But just as the announcer tries to, announce Charlotte, she gets basically cut off. Sasha's getting back up. Sasha, she's, limping down to the cell, and she gets back up. She goes back to the cell, tells the ref, close the door, and just so you know it, the match starts. So, segueing into this, this work, because really I was fooled beyond belief, and I mean, hell, all of us were fooled. I mean, I see people on Twitter raging. I see fans booing because just like me, they thought this show was going to be thrown out. Nope. Like I said, Sasha, fools us all. Alright, so Sasha starts out with the offense. She gets, those double knees to the gut that she does outside the ring. They have some good they have some good offense here and there. Let's get to the 2 table spots that happen. So Charlotte tries to set up a table on the outside of the ring. From there, she goes for a superplex. Sasha kicks Charlotte off. Charlotte gets knocked down, and I think she was trying to land on the table for a big spot without, trying to actually break the table. But lo and behold, Charlotte goes through the table. Kind of a miffed spot, but, it's not really their fault. Sasha kind of sits there, looking at Charlotte, and this goes on for a little while, maybe like 30 seconds max. Up until they go for the next spot. Sasha brings Charlotte to the ring. Sasha sets up another table, this time inside the ring. Charlotte counters Sasha, and, Sasha's down, and she gets the figure 8, and Sasha hits Charlotte with the steel chair, and a little bit after that, Charlotte counters Sasha again, and she sets Sasha up on the table, going for a moonsault through the table, and I was really, really, really hoping for this spot. When I saw this, I was marking out, and I was, on Twitter going, please, 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 let's see a moonsault through the table. Didn't get it, unfortunately. Sasha moves the table all the way to the other side of the ring. This is where the botch comes through. Sasha goes for, a Seth Rollins style buckle powerbomb. He sets her up from the corner to the next, and Sasha's running, and her back just completely gives out on her. And it was unfortunate because after the match, there wasn't much that could be done. Charlotte, I guess, tried to cover by throwing Sasha into the table twice. I guess they had a big spot planned, probably, but it didn't fall through. The table didn't break or anything like that. So after that, Charlotte just hits natural selection. Sasha's pinned. 1, 2, 3. The crowd is dead silent, and dead silence. And really, it was a great match. But of course, you had people tweeting all their rage, spouting their ignorance, saying stuff like, the WWE still doesn't know how to book their women. Now listen, I love Sasha Banks, but I hate most of her fan base so much because of this nonsense like this. This is what tends to come out of their mouths when their favorite doesn't win a match. It pisses me off to a point. And they're just mad that Sasha lost the title. That's really all it is. Going back to WrestleMania 31, this actually makes me almost slightly relieved that Becky Lynch didn't win that title at WrestleMania, because I would hate to see the hate that she would have gotten had she won instead of Charlotte. Because again, that's what it is. They're just mad Sasha lost. Anyway, the match was amazing despite the 2 table spots. The two certainly made history. If not through my eyes, then through everyone else's, honestly. I think even the most cynical of critics can admit history was certainly made through this match. And honestly, it just goes to show, great match. I feel like Sasha was supposed to win this match just because, first off, she was injured, and plus this was in her hometown, so I kind of figured this was initially going for her, but I feel like this was, the old switcheroo because she was really injured. But, I don't know the facts, so again, that was just the thought. Overall, I'd give this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. Mainly because it took forever to get started with some good matches. One little fun fact. This was the first pay-per-view where I got every prediction right. Down to the main event. So, there's that. At least for me, anyway. My favorite match of the night has to be Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens, as I said before. But I do not regret Charlotte and Sasha main eventing. Not one bit. Okay, so from there, let's talk about Lucha Underground. So, as we get, it starts with a nice little promo package to establish what happened on the previous episode, as they usually do. The Dow of Doom. The wheel lands on Dario's choice. Mr. McMexican, as I like to call him. He chooses to play with the crowd for a little bit until he brings Cortez Castro. That's who he picks, not brings. Anyway, he brings a weapon and he doesn't even use it. So what purpose did that weapon serve? That's beyond me. The match starts with Matanza working that injured arm. He snaps the cast and it sounds incredibly nasty. Matanza keeps working that arm for a little bit. He works the crowd as well because the crowd is just into it from that beginning. Holy shit chance. Where was I at? Okay. So Cortez Castro, he hits a baseball slide to counter Matanza, and he starts getting some offense in with a little piece of the cast, and they were some weak hits, but you know what? For the sake of disbelief, I'll just pretend they were really powerful hits. And he hits Matanza about a good 3 times, I want to say, up until he takes a spinning back elbow as a reversal. Matanza proceeds to hit the Wrath of the Gods. Match ends, especially for a Lucha Underground match. I would say this one's kind of short, but again, I didn't really expect it to last long at all, mainly because of Castro's arm. So, there you go. Next segment, we see a backstage segment with Havoc and Mascarita going up to Dario Cueto, demanding a match for Mascarita to face Famous B next week. Dario tells him Havoc he has a match with Dr. Wagner, and the winner will choose the stipulation. Famous B versus Mascarita is basically on the line, and Dario, he makes a hilarious short joke at the end of the match, and I laughed my ass off. That's really the only point to bringing up that. And I gotta say, I love the Dario Cueto character the more and more I get to see it. Next, Prince Puma cuts a promo on Mil Muertes, saying beating him wasn't enough. Therefore, I want him in a grave consequences match, which I'll assume is their version of a buried alive match. Katrina comes out, stood out on the balcony to accept his challenge. Mil Muertes attacks Puma from behind, leading to a nice little fight scene, which Puma wins. Overall, a short and sweet segment, but delivered. Next, you had the match, Dr. Wagner versus Son of Havoc. And they put on a pretty good match. I would have put it a little further down the card had it not only been 3 matches on the card. Great fight sequences. My favorite spot would probably have to be the moonsault off the barricade from Son of Havoc. Though I gotta admit, as much as I love this match, I can't see why they would put this match on the mid card. With a main event performance like that, why put all that hard work into the mid card? I just don't see why. Less is more is what I'm saying. Because if you put main event material into a mid card match, it takes away from the main event itself. Now, I'm not saying this match particularly took away from the main event, because it sure as hell didn't. And I'll get into that main event after this. But Lucha Underground tends to do this a lot. So, I'm just saying they're kind of playing with fire here. Doing stuff like this takes away from the main event. Same reason I struggled to finish New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion after I finished watching the Will Ospreay versus Kushida match. But, I also realize at the same time, this is nowhere near the same length as that. In fact, I think this week was just an hour. So, on top of that, there was only one match after this match, so, again, nothing to really complain about here, but I am still a firm believer in what I say, that less is more. So, next we had the main events, and deliver is all that I have to say. Just kidding. Let's get into this. Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero in a loser leaves Lucha match. Main event done to perfection. 5 stars because it had what I call the 5 components of a 5-star match. And these 5 components are emotion, great sequencing, unpredictability, most importantly, story. They had amazing sequences. The camera cut to Chavo Sr. quite a few times. Later on in the match, you see Chavo Sr. get involved, hits Chavo Jr. with the chair. Just as I was about to write in my notes, great Dusty finish. As I think if this were to be a Dusty finish, this is how you would do it, in my opinion. Next thing you know, Mr. McMexican, he comes out, he says, no, we're not finishing this match on that note. And he gets on the referee, chews him out for, finishing this match on a DQ. Found that hilarious. And he says, continue this match. And I gotta say, I love this heel authority figure. I love Dario Cueto for, continuing this match. Anyway, let's get into the match itself. Chavo Sr. charges at Rey Mysterio with the chair. And Rey does a drop toe hold into the ropes. He baseball slides Chavo Jr. into the ropes. And he goes for a double 619. Manages to get the 619 on Senior only. Chavo Jr. rolls away. Counters the West Coast pop into a single leg Boston Crab. Rey gets out of it. They wrestle a bit some more. They had a few fight sequences. Eventually what happens was Rey hits that 619. Chavo Guerrero, he takes that splash. 1, 2, 3. The match is over. Favorite spot of the night before I go into the last visual, I would have to say the two suplexes from Chavo, followed by that gory powerbomb. I really thought, I can't say I thought it was over from there, but I really thought that would have been a cool finish if Chavo was supposed to win. Anyway, great match. The last visual you see is a frustrated Chavo and an elated Rey Mysterio. Great show overall. That concludes my review of both Lucha Underground this week and Hell in a Cell. Let's talk about a few plugs here. Follow me on Twitter at eJose98. Gold Coast Wrestling should have its first show in January, no longer November. Unfortunate plans came up. Match review of the week. Or match recommendation of the week. Definitely Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero. Great stuff. And I think that's it, honestly. There's not much I could tell you guys. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to my YouTube account. Chances are we'll start using my Podbean account for promotion of this podcast. So look out for that.